In this video, I'm going to show you the three-step process that I use to help generate $534,341 for an online coach. Here is the proof. I'll refresh the WAP here, as you can see. And so I'm going to break down this exact three-step process. So stay tuned for the next 12 minutes as I go ahead and break this down. So the first piece of this strategy is really dialing in our fulfillment. And this comes down to like the way that we structured our offer. And and depending on who we want to target. So this client is in the trading niche, and so we are specifically targeting 18 to 25-year-olds. They're either in college or they're working a 9-to-5, part-time or full-time. And so we now want to cater our offer to those people. And most importantly, they are existing traders. So they are market aware. They are also problem aware and solution aware in this very saturated, low trust niche. So it was really, really important that we have great fulfillment. So what we did to make sure we had good fulfillment at scale is we made sure to accommodate as much information as possible and accountability at a large scale. So the way that looked is we would have daily group calls. So we would first implement 5 group calls every single week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That would cover every single trading day, and that would allow anyone to enter and to join into those calls. And what it meant is that every single person was being catered to, every single person was having their questions answered to, and so there was no issues with fulfillment from that aspect because everyone was getting their piece heard. Because a lot of offers out there will struggle to accommodate at scale. So we had about 130 people in total in the group in the high ticket, and so in order to make sure fulfillment was dialed, as we scaled, we did change things slightly, but the main inherent stem of all of this was group coaching, right? So I said 5 group calls a week, and we use those super effectively to cater to everyone. Now the next part is one-to-one access. Now we were careful with this because this did overwhelm the client at a certain point, and so we slowly removed the one-on-one call access. We didn't advertise it as officially as we did, but we just advertised the fact that you get one-on-one access. So what that meant is they can text him, but we don't tell them directly. If they need to, they can have that call, but we didn't make it abundantly clear. And from reality, what we saw, most of the people didn't even need that one-on-one help because those group calls really just helped out and answered everyone's questions. Because you imagine this every single day, you're getting on a call for like an hour and a half, 2 hours with the creator. You're spending so much time with them every day. It's like you don't really need a one-on-one call sometimes. Because I think that's a massive misconception a lot of coaches have, is they'll get bogged down in one-on-one help. But no, group coaching is the best way to solve that. So yeah, super, super effective. Now the next thing is AI. Now we started using this in the past 2 months. And what we do is we have an accountability bot. And what this does is every time someone joins the group, it assigns them a pair. And the way that it works is they have basically an end of day report they must fill. So they must fill a certain criteria based on the trading day, their trading journal, like all trading related stuff, right? But the point is this is applicable to any niche. You just want to build some sort of bot that fills out, that gets them to holds them to account on what things they must do, what's the daily needle moving things that will get them to their goals, right? So in the trading niche, specifically, this was journaling your trades, showing the type of trade that you got, and then these are all then reviewed by the creator, but it's easily done. This bot pings them, and it also acknowledges if they don't submit, and then that sends them a strike, and if they got 2 strikes, we would then get notified of this, and then we would, pay closer attention to the issue at hand and why that might have been happening, and giving them some more potentially direct help. So yeah, we have the one-on-one access via DMs. We have the 5 group calls, and we also have the AI accountability system. So this fulfillment allowed us to have extremely good results. We had a bunch of people hitting multiple 5-figure months with this service, and so as a result, we were super confident in then selling this offer to multiple people, because if you're a coach and you're not confident in your fulfillment, that will leak through your sales, your marketing, and everything else. So really important that you have this on dial. So that's the fulfillment that we use to get to that point. Now the next step in the process that got us to 534,000 is content. So now that we have an offer that we know does well and actually gets people results, we now need a way of marketing this to the audience, to the world. And so this is super, super important because every coach seems to really struggle with this, right? They really struggle, especially if you're not running ads, with lead flow. And so because they're posting, value-based content because they think that's all they need to do to attract their ICP. But you get this wrong, right? For anyone to buy from you, you need to hit 3 key things. You need someone to know that you exist. You need them to then like you, and you need to also get them to trust you. And so in order for you to do that, you have to post different types of content, not just value-based content. So if we break this down, if you look at how you get someone to know you, well, that's simply what we call more top of funnel content. So that's content that reaches a wider audience and that gets people to know that you exist in the market. So these are just more viral kind of based reels or YouTube videos. So there's a bunch of formats you can use. I've made a separate video going in depth over this, so definitely watch that. But the key part is that you're having a content structure to attract people, right? Getting them to know you, and now then to like you, you now need to post nurturing-based content. So this can be like authenticity type of content, right? So this can be, those kind of reels that you see like Shelby Sapp do, where they pretty much just kind of yap to their phone on the iPhone, and they talk about something that's completely non-related to their niche. It might be, something personal that's happened in their life, right? It's something that shows a different side to you that's not the selling side, not the kind of authority side. Because like I said, people need to know you, now they need to like you. And then of course the last part to this piece is trust. End of the day, no one's gonna buy from you if they don't trust you, if they don't see that you're legit, and they don't see you as an authority. So this is more a mix of that middle of funnel and bottom of funnel content. So this is exactly where you're gonna be posting those client interviews, student interviews, whatnot, and actual value-based content. And so, of course, depending on your niche with this client specifically, we ripped a whole bunch of formats in order to get this to work. Mario boards, like head talking raw videos to like psychology related stuff. So it really just depends on the niche, but it's super important. You get people to know, like, and trust you, and you use every type of format that can get you there. And so that then allows you to have an effective way of bringing people in from like a kind of a cold perspective that don't really know that you exist, then getting them to understand who you are as a person, then what you sell, and then of course, then getting them to buy from you. So really, really effective practices. Now, one thing that I would also say is quite underrated is just testing stuff. Like people seem really scared to kind of like push themselves out there. And that's one of the big needle movers that we did for this client, because they initially struggled with their personal brand. Like when we first scaled them to, I think 60K a month when they had maybe 2,000 followers. 2,000 followers on YouTube they had. And then they also had about, 1,000 on Instagram. And that was enough to get us to 60K a month after I came in and helped everything out. But, there comes a point where we can't hit that broader target, that bigger audience, right? There's only so many people we can sell to out of that 3,000 some audience. So we needed a way of getting ourselves out there, and we tried to get creative. We don't want to just copy everyone else. So an example of a type of format that we made was a series. And we made the series, it was day trading to furnish my high rise, right? And so it used all three of these terms, knowledge, getting people to know, like, and trust you, but in a viral way that would attract more people. And our first video got us 52,000 views. It's probably a bit more than that now. But the point is that it's a completely different format that our audience wasn't used to, yet we hit all three targets. We were providing entertainment, right? So we were getting that top of funnel viral content. We were then providing middle of funnel and authority by showing the trades he was making. And also like just showing his personal life and how he does things, going to the gym and whatnot. So showing him as a real person, and then also the actual trades he was taking to make money, right? And this was really, really effective. So if you're a coach, you need to think outside of the box, try new formats, test different content formats, because you don't know what will resonate with your audience. So if you just keep posting the same thing, you're kind of like a fish that's in water and doesn't realize there's a massive ocean out there. Like you need to really just jump out that little box of yours and really just test. So now that we have a great offer, now that we have a good content system that can organically attract people to us, we now need a way of converting and, quote, liquidating these people. And so that is exactly where sales comes in. So I'm gonna bunch this into our kind of funnel as well. Now, the funnel that we used to do this was a free lead magnet where we were basically pushing everyone into the Discord group. And from there, they opted in. So they were giving us their name, they were giving us their email, and they were giving us their phone number, right? Now, the reason why we have these three is so that number one, we can send them email marketing, separate issue, but a separate matter. But then their phone number, this is super important, because this allows our sales team to directly communicate with people. Because it's useless having a bunch of leads and not knowing their name, their contact details, you can't reach out to them, right? So we had the opt-in on the front end that would give us these details, so then we could send marketing assets and most importantly, have the sales team reach out to them. So you might be asking, okay, what was the reality? So we drive the traffic to this page, they opt in for the free Discord. They were then shown a VSL, which would then give the option for them to book in if they were warm enough and they wanted to go in. But if not, and they wanted just a free resource, they would get access to that. And what we would specifically do is we would use a software. I'm gonna put you guys on some software called Linkblue. And this basically replicates iMessage. That is a really bad spelling there, but you get the point. So Linkblue, what it does is it simulates blue SMS messaging, so like an iPhone. And the reason why this works so well compared to your regular GHL A2P green bubbles is it looks way more trustworthy. It doesn't get filtered as spam. And if you can make it effectively with the software where you can have a profile picture of who you are and also your name, it can say this could be X. So all of these things optimized. I think the stat is it 3x's your reply rate on SMS. And so what we would do is we would send out an automated message the minute someone joins, or maybe like a couple minutes after they joined, and we would basically kind of bait them into replying to us. So we would tell them, okay, the link wasn't working for some people. Let me know if you got it. And it was framed in the tonality of the creator, so they think they're texting the actual coach in this scenario. And it worked very well because our reply rates were super high, and then we would simply start an appointment setting conversation from there. And it would be like, oh, okay, so what made you want to join the free Discord there? And then they'd have a whole conversation on SMS, and then they would go ahead and book in a call. So that was one aspect of what we used from the sales team. The next part is also calling these people, right? So obviously we have their phone numbers, so we can both text them, we have SMS, and we also have a dial. And so these work both hand in hand because, let's say someone's had a conversation with the setter and they think it's the coach. They might have gone, might have replied for a little bit, and then they also then get hit up by the dialer, and the dialer is going to do the exact same thing with them. They're going to run them through a discovery process. I have a separate video on exactly how I made $1.2 million through some sales processes, so definitely watch that video as well. And yeah, so that's exactly what we did. We had an SMS and dialer from the setter side. Now the last part was, of course, our Instagram. So everything we were doing on the Instagram here was then also used as a way of communicating with the leads via Instagram DM. So we had a DM funnel. And so we would do warm outbounding, which is a super high ROI task. Like a lot of the coaches really underestimate how simple this funnel is. But if you really just get a dialed in setter and you have them effectively having good conversations, a good structure, they just need to do some warm outbound. As long as you have a decent amount of following, you'll probably get a decent amount of closes just from that funnel alone. I think we get 50% of our cash. So that means about 250 grand just came from doing some warm outbound to people that follow us, right? Pretty trivial stuff. So it's nothing insane that you need to do here. So again, we're kind of heading the leads up from every single angle, right? We have the SMS setting, we have the dialer, we also have the emails that we're going out as well. And so hand in hand, what this then does is this then allows the sales team to take advantage of these warm leads from the content and then get them on our sales calls. So this was just a brief overview of exactly how we made this client $534,341. I have made other videos that are more in depth, so if you want to check those out, then just go ahead and check them out here. But besides that, this is everything that I use, the 3-step process. So if you're a coach and you are struggling to get to that first 6-figure month, or even scale past that, then book a call down below and I'll take a look at your current structure, your current system from fulfillment to content to sales and much more, and see what you're missing and what's the bottleneck in your business right now. And I'll build you a roadmap on how we can get you to that point. And yeah, that's pretty much everything from me.